If you're craving something sweet but short on time, dessert doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, with just two simple ingredients, puff pastry and apples, you can create a delicious treat in only 5 minutes of preparation. Let's dive into how you can turn these humble ingredients into a mouth-watering dessert that's perfect for a quick snack, an impromptu gathering, or a last-minute addition to your dinner table. Begin by gathering your essentials. Store-bought puff pastry is a lifesaver in the kitchen, offering buttery, flaky layers without the effort of making dough from scratch. And apples, with their natural sweetness and slight tartness, pair perfectly with the pastry. Select any variety you like, Granny Smith for a sharper bite, Gala or Fuji for a milder, sweeter flavor. Wash and core the apples, then thinly slice them. The thinner the slices, the faster they'll cook, and the more tender they'll become. Next, unfold your puff pastry sheet onto a lightly floured surface. If it's frozen, let it thaw for a few minutes until it's pliable but still cold. Cut the pastry into rectangles or squares, depending on your preference and how you plan to serve them. Each piece should be large enough to hold a few slices of apple, but small enough to bake quickly and evenly. Lay the pastry pieces on a parchment-lined baking sheet, leaving a little room between each one for expansion. Now, all it takes is a simple assembly. Arrange the apple slices on top of each pastry square, overlapping them slightly for an attractive, layered effect. If you have a moment to spare, sprinkle a little sugar or cinnamon on top for extra flavor. Sometimes a drizzle of honey or a brush of melted butter can elevate these simple desserts even further. But they're optional. The magic lies in the simplicity, just puff pastry and apples, working together to create something greater than the sum of their parts. Slide the baking sheet into a preheated oven, ideally at around 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Because the pastry is thin and the apples are sliced so finely, everything cooks quickly. In just about 15 minutes, the edges of the pastry will puff up and turn a rich golden brown, while the apples soften and release their fragrant juices. The kitchen will fill with the irresistible aroma of baked fruit and buttery pastry. When they emerge from the oven, let them cool for a minute or two. The pastry will be crisp and flaky, the apples tender and sweet. Serve them warm, perhaps with a dusting of powdered sugar or a dollop of whipped cream if you have it on hand. These mini apple tarts are best enjoyed fresh, when the pastry is at its crispiest, but they also make a delightful snack at room temperature. This quick dessert isn't just easy, it's versatile. Try adding a handful of raisins, a sprinkle of chopped nuts, or a dash of spice to suit your taste. You can even swap the apples for pears, peaches, or berries if you're in the mood for something different. With this simple formula, dessert becomes a canvas for your creativity, limited only by what's in your kitchen. So next time you're short on time but longing for something sweet, remember, with puff pastry and apples, you're only minutes away from a delicious homemade dessert. Enjoy the process, savor the flavors, and share the joy of a treat that's as quick to make as it is delightful to eat.